We need to change the service so the perception of the public is clubs aren't just a place where exercisers go to get a $10,000 treadmill or a group fitness class or whatever. They're a place where they go to get better.
The fitness industry is fractured. Gyms are divided, working in silos, and as a result, the industry has hit a ceiling. While America struggles with metabolic dysfunction, 80% of the population remains untouched, untapped, unaware of the strength within reach. But a movement is rising. A fire is growing. The message is clear. To be strong is to be healthy. It's time to come together and to be the beacon of strength for our nation. This is the MASA Project. Make America strong again. Together, we are the answer. Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the MASA podcast. Really excited to bring you this one today. We have three awesome guests, the guys who have really kickstarted the MASA movement. So it's cool to talk to them and figure out the energy they're bringing into this movement. Our first guest is Rocco Boulay. He's the founder of the MASA movement, and he's a legend in the industry and an educator. He's been preaching the importance of muscle as a metabolic cure for a long time. And he's also a 5-time world champion powerlifter. And then there's Eric Reed. Eric Reed is a really innovative gym owner and operator who's been doing some really cool things in his clubs around getting members results and also improving retention. And lastly, we have Dennis Mathias. Dennis is a veteran gym owner, operator, been in the game for like 40 years. He's run some really big gyms, and he is actually set to direct MASA. So it'd be really cool to get his input. He understands a lot of the systemic issues around the industry and how we can improve those going forward. So I'm looking forward to talking to these guys. Let's get started. Okay, so first we're going to start with Rocco. Rocco, you've been preaching the message of muscle for decades. So why do you believe muscle is the key to solving America's health crisis?
Well, first of all, TJ, thanks for inviting me on the podcast. I do appreciate being here with these two other wonderful guests that you invited as well. To be quite honest about the whole thing is, we don't need a focus group to figure out what's wrong with our country. All you have to do is open up the front door and take a look around, and you can see we're actually in a crisis. Now, along with Dennis and Erica, we've conversed about this quite a bit. We see that, the MAHA movement has made some strides in doing some things that are positive for the health of this country. But the bigger problem we have is that people are metabolically dysfunctional. What that means is that when you take a look at the people out there, when we bring them into our facilities, when we do like some kind of an in-body scan or some kind of body composition scan with these people, not only do we find that they are overweight, but they're also under-muscled. And we know, and I don't have to cite a billion research documents to tell you that when you put metabolism or you put muscle on, you increase your metabolism, and it's just through default. And what's a better place to put muscle on than actually in a fitness center? So we want to readdress the fitness center's purpose or repurpose it for not only a place that you go and hang out and socialize, but also a place where you get a therapy that actually helps you become healthier again.
That makes sense. How do you think MASA can change the message around strength and fitness in this country?
I believe that we have to have and I'm not big on groupthink, but I think we need groupthink in a way where all of the operators have to be looking at a common mission and a common vision for this country. The 80% of people who are not coming to fitness centers is because they don't believe that we can help them, or they think there's something else they'd rather do instead. I know there's a great opportunity for the fitness industry here. We just have to show them how that's going to work and make it simple to the point where every single fitness center out there that wants to be part of a more positive thing for the community are willing to join us, and we don't do it alone, but we do it together as one unit.
Awesome. Thanks, Rocco. I think that could be really powerful. All right, next we're going to talk to Eric Reed. So Eric, you're on the front lines as a gym owner. What have you tried that's worked to get people in the doors and keep them engaged?
Well, I've tried everything, but first off, I want to also say thank you for having me on. I'm just ecstatic to be part of something kind of bigger than the industry, honestly, something that's just really, really needed. People need to kind of knock their walls down. We need to start having really hard conversations about what we can do together. because we have all the pieces there. The infrastructure is built. It just needs to be, orchestrated. But I would say I'd narrow down to my company sells outcomes and not features. And what I mean by that is every single person that comes into the gym comes in to look better and feel better, right? So why don't we give them that? There's some industry problems, throughout the past several decades that we're not able to do that in a scalable manner. And there's some technologies out there. One of the ones that I use that's doing that. So I think selling outcomes, I do guaranteed results with my members or their money back, and my retention has kind of skyrocketed because of that, based on that better intention, and instead of the key tag being the end of a relationship, it's the start of one.
So you mentioned that retention is that major challenge. And so what do you think gyms can do differently to improve results and longevity in memberships?
I'm going to revert back to sell outcomes. And another big portion is community. If you don't have an amazing community within your facility and people with common messaging and common goals and everybody rooting for each other, us just really caring about each other. Think about that for a second. When you just care about each other, even that is so amazingly powerful. And I think it's something that's kind of skipped over and taken for granted.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric. All right, now on to Dennis Mathias. So Dennis, what do you see as the key structural problem with the fitness industry today, and how do we get stuck at that 20% market penetration number?
Well, first of all, TJ, thank you for hosting this podcast. This is an exciting opportunity for the three of us, and to kick it off with a podcast like this is just great. I can't tell you how excited I am to be a part of this. It only took Rocco one sentence to explain to me what his mission was, and I don't think he finished the sentence until I said, "I'm all about it. Let's go." Um, I've been doing this 40 years. I've seen every version of disruption there is, and with one hand on the back door and one foot still in, I, I, I think what's exciting to me is can I leave something behind that was better than what when I got here. So to answer your question, I laugh at the 20% because you only have to say that number without any of the words around the industry, and the whole industry knows exactly what you mean. How do we get there? Believe it or not, and you'd have to be, a middle to upper age boomer. I'm a middle age boomer. Rocco's an upper age boomer. Probably tell by the look. But anyway, you'd have to be one of us guys to know there was a time when exercise was not only not in mainstream, it was actually looked down upon. Long story behind that has to do with a marathon runner that was pushing exercise and died of a heart attack, and all of a sudden everybody said, "See, it's bad for you." But anyway, then Schwarzenegger comes along with pumping iron, and Jane Fonda comes along with aerobics, and all of a sudden it kind of goes mainstream. The godfather of the industry, Augie Nieto, forms Bally's, and we're off to the races with what he believed was the business model of a box and put a bunch of equipment in it. So all the women that are doing aerobics in church basements can come to this box to have a better place to aerobics. And all the guys like Rocco and I that were throwing around iron in these grungy garages had a better place to go. And to keep the business afloat, how do you do that? So Augie decided the best way to do that was through the subscription model. So you build a box, you put a bunch of equipment in it, and you sell as many prescriptions as you have to pay the bills. And that became the model. And then from Bally's, just the industry just blossomed. But it followed that same model: build a box, put stuff in it, and sell a whole bunch of people on your stuff. And then the way we battled each other was, well, my treadmills are better than Eric's, and I got more than Rocco, so come to my place because I got better stuff. And we perfected that model, and we pushed that model for the last 40 years. And what we learned plenty quickly was 20% of our market, and that number hasn't changed in probably 35 years, no matter what we have done. And we have done plenty of different things. No matter what we've done, that number hasn't changed. So I think we have a big enough sample size to say that the market that wants a box with equipment, that wants a place that is there for exercisers to exercise, is 20%. So that is the model we created. That's where the 20% came from. We created a model that it's a box for exercisers to exercise. That's where the 20% came from. What are we stuck on? We're stuck in the fact, and I'll call it the mall syndrome. Okay. So malls created a model where they got a whole bunch of stores into one box, and you could go and shop at 30 different stores in one stop. You didn't have to shop. Just like gyms, you could go to one place and get all this equipment in one place. So malls went on for years and years and years and years until there came a change. And all of a sudden, people were shopping on Amazon. The pandemic hits. People don't have to go to malls anymore. The problem was the malls were stuck in their model. How do you change? You built this big box where stores have to rent space. You can't change that model. So our quagmire is we have a model. We have these boxes. We have 30,000 boxes all over the country with equipment in it. You can't really easily change that model to something else. However, the advantage we have that malls don't have is that we can change the service within those models so that we have to stop talking about changing our public image because we can't lose that 20%. That's keeping us afloat. We know they're going to buy our product. And I have seen them leave if they don't like the product we put on the table. If it's more kind of wellness oriented, I've seen that they're going to leave. So what we need to do is not change our model, but we need to enhance it. We need to kind of add to it. So what we can do that malls couldn't do is we can add service, and Eric was touching on it, and Rocco was touching on the need, and we need to change the service so the perception of the public is clubs aren't just a place where exercisers go to get a $10,000 treadmill or a group fitness class or whatever. They're a place where they go to get better. That's what we need to do. And, we're looking at changing the perception. We just need to enhance it. That's where it's stuck. And Rocco's idea of creating this one message that every single club in the country can get behind, because everybody has strength equipment. I don't care if you're a small mom and pop gym or your Lifetime. Everybody has strength equipment, and everybody can get behind this message. And strength is hotter than it's ever been in our industry. The country is more aware of its health than it ever has been. We should be the place where people go to get health support. You don't go to the internet when you've got a really bad cough. You go to a doctor. Okay. You shouldn't go to the internet when you want a healthy lifestyle. You should have a place to go. Doctors don't have the time. We need to be that place. So Rocco's idea is dead on right and can give this industry the opportunity to take that leap into there. It's exciting. It is an exciting time to be in this industry. As hard as it is, and I've been a part of every disruption you can name in 40 years, this is the worst one we've ever been in, but it's also the greatest opportunity we have ever had to thrive, not only survive, but thrive.
Thanks, Dennis. That was an awesome breakdown. All right, next we're going to move on to the lightning round segment, where I'm going to ask each of you to answer this question. I'll ask each of you the same question. So we'll go in reverse order. So we'll start with Dennis. So the question is, what is one thing you want the industry to take from this podcast?
I would say that the industry needs to do something different. We've been doing the same thing for 40 years, trying to increase membership sales, but we're all fighting for the same 20%. And that number hasn't changed while the delivery of fitness has just exploded. So we need to do something different, but not just different. We need to do it with intent. So let's pick something that has an end plan, that has a plan behind it that's going to move the industry forward. We've seen different work multiple times in our own industry. I can remember when Planet Fitness was just this concept of this $10 gym, and we were all sitting in a room together going, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Well, I wish I'd have been a part of that dumbest thing that I've ever heard now. Okay. Then boutiques come along and we go, they're going to hate that because who wants to just belong to a place that only does spinning? Well, I wish I hadn't guessed that one wrong either. Then along come boot camp studios, and we're like, nobody's going to join one of them. It's just a lot of hard workout and all that. Well, so the point is, when somebody came into our industry and did something different, there's 3 examples of where it succeeded. So as an industry now, we need to think outside the box as an entire industry and do something different, but with intent, not just do different for the sake of doing different.
Okay. Thanks, Dennis. All right, Eric. What is one thing you want the industry to take from this podcast?
Oh man, work together and be open-minded. I guess that's a fluffy answer, but I no longer look at my competition as competition. I look at it as a complementative situation where we can work together and wake more people up off the couch, because that's literally what we're in business for, is to wake up more people that come in and buy a membership. We give them the outcomes they're looking for, and they stay a long time. It's a definition of a successful business in our model. So if we can't get together and have that similar messaging, and trust me, if we wake up enough people off the couch, there's plenty of market share for everybody.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
All right. On to
How
you,
much of that
Rocco.
market share are you getting, Eric?
Not enough still, but way better than I have been in the past. So even though times are tough, times are really, really good for us. We're blessed.
Hey, TJ, do I have time to talk a little bit more about just the question you asked? Or
Yeah. Yes, you do.
so one thing I'd like to, because it kind of sparked me on something that Dennis and all of you guys had said, is the technology that we actually created today to be able to serve the masses early on. And I'm talking over 20 years ago when I first created this technology. You know who the first major franchise was that actually bought it from me was? Anybody have an idea?
No, who was that?
Planet Fitness.
I knew the answer.
Okay. And what happened back in the day, and it's kind of a cool story, and I'll try to keep it short, is at that time, there were two owners. They were brothers. One was called Mike and Mark Grundle. They were two brothers. And Mark had actually purchased the software from me at the time because back then they had 3 locations. I believe there was one in Rochester, Dover. I think the other one was in Portsmouth, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm sitting inside of Planet Fitness with Mark at the time. Their price on the market back then was $29.95. We were sitting there, we're looking at this beautifully built out club. And he looked at me and says, he goes, I don't understand. He goes, look at all of this you can get for $29.95. He goes, I don't have one person in here. And I said to him, well, I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm creating a model that's full service that's going to provide A, B, C, and D so that my customers get what they came for. And he looked at me dead in the eyes. He says, he goes, I'd love to do that. Because the problem is, I don't have your expertise. And he wasn't wrong. And that's kind of reflective of the industry as it is today. The industry is not run by fitness professionals. It's run by business people. You can go back as far as, and Dennis remember this, back when Joe Gold sold Gold's Gym to Pete Gramkowski, and then Gramkowski got to bed with a bunch of business guys that were great sales guys. And we became that model of selling memberships and subscription. The one thing that we forgot in the process was that we were dealing with people, and people weren't numbers. So as you take a look at, and I'm not dissing Planet Fitness for any reason. I mean, Mark at the time capitalistically made a way better choice than me. Me knowing what I knew about health back then, I could not just say, well, I'm just going to get into the business of selling memberships. For me, my passion was seeing the result that people got from it. So we went down 2 different roads, but those roads now are coming back together again, which maybe it took 20 years, and that's all fine. And nothing against you, Mark. I think Mark was a great guy, and I know he wanted to help. He just didn't know how. And I really believe that there's lots of other operators in the industry right now that don't want to admit it, but they don't know how. That's why they have to rely on the trainers. And the trainers are sometimes great people as well, too. Problem with them is the certifying bodies don't provide them with enough training and for them to order to be able to take care of people in the masses. So here we are at a juncture where we need to do something that everybody gets on the same page about. And it's, if I could say one thing to all the operators out there, EBITDA is great. Crunching all the numbers and making sure that you get to pay all the bills, because we have to. It's really important in this industry. But what's more important are the people who we serve. So my advice to those people who want to do better in the fitness industry is look at every single person as your mother or brother or sister coming in the door, how you're going to help them. And I will tell you, just by virtue of doing that, the money will come out in it by itself. You won't even have to worry about the money. You don't have to worry about selling because you're not selling. I don't know if that makes any sense to you guys, but that's my perspective on that. And I'm going to stick with that because it's always worked.
Yeah, revenue as a result of intention.
Yeah, I mean, Dennis could tell you, how much pressure is to make the numbers. He ran a huge club, right? And somebody's breathing down his neck, like that. We got to pay this bill. We got to pay that bill. Like he said, the air conditioning is broke. The tennis courts are down. Basketball hoops are out of whack. All these things that Dennis had to deal with back in the days when he was general manager. Like, how do you take the time to say, okay, well, I got to take a step back and change my vision or my philosophy because it's a lot of pressure there. We have to find better solutions for the club operators to be able to give them that time to see a different vision, a different mission, and a perspective on how we should take care of people moving forward. Because, quite frankly, the medical community is taking care of something that they have no expertise in whatsoever. Metabolism and weight loss belongs to the gym industry. Period. End of story.
Well, and I think I'll make this quick. Rocco's right, and every operator will tell you, let me read. The first thing you ask in the morning when you come in is how many did we lose, how many did we gain yesterday. Yeah, that's you go to bed thinking it, you wake up thinking it, you go on vacation thinking it, and you have to. It's in every club, it's anywhere from 50 to 80% of your revenue line. I get that. Part of why I'm so excited about this project is I lived that pain for a lot of years. My wife will tell you the three worst words she hates in the English language are end of the month. I said it about 400 and 500 times. Hey, I won't listen to it nowadays. But
Close out. Yeah.
Close out. Yeah.
No,
Close out.
it's out end of the month. So you ask me, what do we need when I say different? And I can tell you, if you've been doing this as long as you've had this discussion 1.5 million times. How do we tap into the 80% that don't come into the club? Okay. Because the fact is, what makes membership so difficult is we're all fighting over the pond that has 20 fish in it. And there's 100 there was one point there was 20 of us out around the pond. Now there's 2,000 of us out around the pond between more boxes and the pandemic cut loose the digital delivery. The competition for that 20% pie now is overwhelming. The math doesn't work out. It just doesn't work out. Somebody is going to have to leave the table if we don't tap into the 80%. So how do we tap into the 80%? If what we've done for 40 years, and believe me, we've tried everything under the sun in the last 40 years, and that 20% hasn't changed. We need to get into that 80%, and that 80%, I can tell you, lies in making a connect to the medical community. I know it. I've done it. I've seen it. One of the reasons I know Rocco asked me to be part of this is I've made that happen. I actually have made it bridged that gap between club and medical and tapped into that 80%. And I can tell you, as somebody who sweated out memberships, when doctors are sending you 5, 8, 10 people a day and you have nothing to do with it anymore, they just show up. Boy, that's a great way to do this business. We just have to get our ducks in a row as an industry. We have 30,000 providers all across the nation. We have a built-in provider network that is already nationwide, that already has more than every single one of them has the equipment needed to do this. We need to come together as a group. All whatever ownership is, 10,000 of us need to all pull together, get behind one message, keep the 20% happy, which we all know how to do perfectly well.
Uh-huh.
What we have to do is get to that 80%. And that's what this is about. This is about how do we get together as a group, build a product that the physicians will want to send those 80%, because we already know the 80% aren't going to walk in on their own. They just aren't. And we can spread that message out with helicopters and drop flyers all over the place. No more than somebody eats salad is going to go to McDonald's for a salad on their own. But if your doctor says, hey, you got to go to McDonald's and eat their salad because it's going to make you healthier, you're going to go to McDonald's because the doctor said so. We need to get there. And to get there, we need to be together as a unit within the industry behind one particular message that everybody can get behind and make that happen. I know we can do it. I know we can. That's why I'm a part of this. If I didn't think we can, I don't have the time for this. I've been there, done all this stuff. I'll go mow lawn or something. But this is that opportunity to break through that ceiling. And I'm just looking forward to the people we're going to have on this podcast, between the people we all know. I never considered myself the smartest guy in the room, but I was smart enough to know who the smart people were. And for some reason, they they supported me. To this day, I don't know why. But we're going to get them on this podcast. And we're going to hear from people that I can tell you have a lot more to say than I do. And we're going to bring them together, and we're going to make this happen. I hate to lose. I hate to lose more than I like to win. So I'm not going to lose, man. I am not going to lose. And, and you're going to be there for the whole ride, TJ. You're going to be the one there that's taking the parade down, Rocco Street and, in front of houses he claims he built because of the pandemic and, party.
That's a true story, Dennis.
I know it. We joke around about you going up to mow the lawn in the summer when you're,
not afraid to get my hands dirty if I have to.
Hey, listen, I can't wait. I think this vision you guys are outlining is incredibly powerful. Are there any final closing comments before I wrap this thing up?
No, just TJ, thanks for giving us this platform to get this message out. That's, listen, this is a grassroots effort. Rocco came up with the idea. I went nuts on it. You can see I'm not the type of person that normally goes kind of crazy about stuff, but I go nuts. Eric jumps in on it because he's a guy that's still in the trenches. This is a grassroots effort. We're not going to stop until, somebody.
Eric, aren't you going to show us your hat?
Oh, I probably should, but we got some new hats made.
All right.
Those will be for sale pretty soon. We want to get everybody behind the message. Rocco, yours looks a lot very similar to mine, but
I had to get mine used though. I had to buy mine used.
Yeah, you did. That's so funny. We'll tell that story some other day, but I don't think anything from us, TJ. Again, thanks for hosting us. Fantastic job, and
thank you so much.
I think it's time to do some things. It's time to get in and talk about things and really hash it out.
Let's talk more rock.
That's it, baby.
All right. Well, hey, it's been an honor to have you guys on. You guys are all legends and leaders in the industry, so really appreciate that. And I look forward to having a lot more conversations with you going forward. So to kind of wrap this thing up, I mean, I think the vision you guys have is incredible. The vision of MASA, it's without a doubt, together we are stronger. It's the kind of thing where a rising tide raises all boats. It's going to help the gyms to come together, give them more power and control over controlling our destiny, and also just make people healthier. I mean, that's the name of the game. So this is where we want to invite gyms, trainers, owners, operators, everyone to come together and join this grassroots movement. We need all your help to come together and kind of help us just move this thing forward and drive this mission. It's a really powerful mission, and the more people we have, the better. So going forward, this is going to be the first in a series of podcasts. We're going to have a lot of great guests on. I know Dennis, Eric, and Rocco. I'll have a lot of people in the industry that we want to talk to and people that are interested in joining this movement and helping us to make America strong again. So that's the name of the game. We can't wait to share this stuff with you guys. We're going to put the link to our site in the description for this podcast. So please check that out. Put your contact information and we'll get a hold of you and we'll kind of go from there. So I really appreciate everyone's time on this. And until next time, thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.